Hi everybody, and thank you for joining me today. So we are finally back to the peacock's neck, so we'll be working on some nice, bright, vibrant colors this session. Yeah, I got all the sky to the left here of his neck filled in, so we're gonna work on his neck and chest for the next while. So this should go pretty quickly, as you can probably see from looking at Pattern Keeper there, that there's a lot of big blocks of color coming up, so it should go by quite quickly, and hopefully you will find it interesting. Okay. Just gonna park that for now. Continue on downwards after. I could actually use this properly. I said here's a electric blue color here that we use quite a lot of for the next while. So yeah, my hubby is on the road again. Up north is to go back to finish up the work that he and our son did a couple weeks ago. So yeah, a lot of travel this year because basically all the trips that they put off during the lockdown and stuff since 2020, yeah, now they're all happening this year. Things are opening back up, and like he can't really put it off anymore. So yeah, he was only doing absolutely essential trips before, like when something broke and could not be repaired remotely. But this is actual, like, having to swap out equipment and things that have to be physically fixed. They can't just be remotely done. So yeah. So yeah, he's away for a week, then he comes back for a week, then he's got to go away again to a different site and then back again. And yeah, so yeah, he kind of can't wait for this summer to be over. Do a lot less traveling in winter, so. And then at home, he's been working on getting our guest area ready because his parents and his aunt are coming to visit us later, end of the month. So yeah, getting that ready. He actually made like a trundle for the bed because it fits sort of under the stairs in that spare room. So he made it so you could slide it out and slide it away when it's not being used. So yeah, I said, well, yeah, when your husband's an engineer, you get all the cool gadgets. When our son was little, he brought home a huge box from work. Was when they got a new printer, and it was a big industrial one, like the size of a photocopy machine, so it was huge. He brought this box home, and then he wired it so our kiddo had a light bulb in there with a little light switch. I said, yeah, when your dad's an engineer, you get the upgraded box house. Yeah, it was funny too because it had sort of the holes in it from where they put the punch out part to put the handles, and our son would stuff his stuffed bunny in there, like up to its neck, and then he'd go inside and yank it inside the box, and oh my gosh, I was so terrified it was gonna rip its poor little head off, but luckily it never did. So yeah, I cringed every time. I was like, geez, dude, I don't think you should do that. He's gonna rip it. But yeah, amazingly it didn't. Okay, so I've got a few threads of this color in this area. Oopsie. Goodness, that looks not so good. Trim those raggedy ends off. There, so we have a clean edge to work from. This one, though, I'm thinking is not going to last for many stitches. It'll be used up pretty soon, so that won't be a problem. And as this is a very big section of this color, yeah, we're going to be using all these threads up, no problem. So 3840. Yeah, so our heat wave is broken, which is nice. Nice and cool today. One of those days I won't really need to run my HVAC system at all. Don't need the air conditioner and don't really need the heat either. Which is nice, yeah. Our house is much more energy efficient now than when we moved in because, yeah, we discovered it was not very well insulated. The ceiling was like R2, which it should have been like at least R12 or something. Yeah, it was not good. So one year we finally rented a machine to blow in insulation into the attic. It's like R40 now. So yeah, you can definitely tell the difference. In the winter, sometimes we used to have like the heat would just be on constantly because it could barely keep up when it's, you know, minus 40 degrees outside. Yeah. But now with the better insulation and because we replaced our windows with energy efficient ones, yeah, it's much better. We also don't get the ice on the inside of the windows because we used to have the single pane. So yeah, they're terrible, especially when it gets anywhere sort of like minus 15°C, you would get a layer of ice on the inside of the window. And when it was super cold, like the minus 40, you'd have it like a couple inches thick on the inside of the corner of the window. It was, yeah, awful. But now, even in the coldest, we don't get any ice on them because we got the triple pane windows. We were gonna upgrade to just the double, but going to the triple pane was like only 10% more, so sort of at that point might as well. So that's what we did. Yeah, but it's really nice. And in the summer I do notice the difference too, because when the attic was not well insulated, when the sun would beat down on it, it would turn the house into like an oven. It was awful. I was very grateful that we had a basement because yeah, we'd have to go sleep down there because it was way too hot upstairs. Yeah, and this summer we can't open our windows with all this smoke in the air. It's been pretty much unrelenting this whole summer with this terrible fire season, forest fire season. So yeah, because usually that's what I do. Once the sun goes down, it's basically desert here on the prairies, so the temperature plummets, and then you can open your windows and let it cool all night and then close them in the morning. But yeah, there's no wanting to be opening windows these days. That smoke. So yeah, like I said, this pattern has more bigger blocks of color than the last couple of ones that I worked. Yeah, I had a lot of sky here, but I was worried that the white and ecru were not going to show up well on camera. At least with this color, I know it should pop. No problem. Actually, I suppose I don't have to just park it there. I could just, yeah, continue on with this this thread for another row or two, because it's not going to close anything in for a bit. Yeah, it just kind of sucks because I haven't been able to do my outdoor walks. Don't want to be breathing in the smoke, so yeah. Having to use my indoor machine is not as fun. Okay, and then yeah, I can actually do one more row before I have to park this. So yeah, we're well past 15% now. Probably be 15.5. Maybe the end of this session, we'll see. And then yeah, I said my estimate for this month is to be at 18%, so we will see. Yeah, and then after we get past his neck, there'll be more sky, but I'm not sure we'll get to that this month. It will depend, because the area of his chest especially is quite wide. It's across several diagonals, so yeah. Yeah, when I looked at the mock-up of this pattern, I didn't realize that the blue on his body and stuff was going to be such a electric blue, almost like a neon or fluorescent. But it looks good, I think. It definitely is eye-catching, that's for sure. So yeah, rather than just sticking to the one diagonal, I may work across sort of these two at the same time today, just because the big section kind of straddles both. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do for now. Make sort of its own natural break point at the edge of this bright blue here. So I think I'm going to stitch to one stitch before this other part thread. Oop, before I take over with it. Darn it. Caught on my band-aid there. Yeah. Yeah, I smacked my my finger in a drawer, so that's why I got a bandage, because yeah, it doesn't look very pretty. Oh dear. Yeah, it wasn't too bad, but oh, the worst was at work, my first job. I was closing the cash drawer, and you have to close it quite firmly to get it to catch properly, and yes, I smashed my finger in there, and oh boy, that was not good. Yeah, I ended up having a little cup of ice I set aside and was sticking my finger in it all day. Every chance I got to try and numb it, because yeah, that hurt. Although the worst was getting a burn. Yeah, I was pouring coffee and somebody bumped me and the hot coffee went all over my hand. Oh, that was awful. Sticking my hand under the cool tap every chance I got. Oh, like it wasn't bad enough it didn't blister or anything. It was only a little first degree. Not too bad, but yeah, it certainly wasn't fun. And the worst was was working at fast food, so you're standing over a steam table, so like the heat of it coming up, yeah, makes it feel more intense. So okay, then I'm going to switch over to this thread here, so that way I was able to use all of them. Oh, I didn't go all the way up to there. I marked it that I did, but I actually didn't because I apparently can't count. Silly me. That's all right. Oh, geez. That is really off. My gosh. It doesn't matter at all. Works out the same in the end. Actually did fewer in this next row. I marked them as done when they weren't done, but like I said, it all will look the same in the end. But yeah, one reason I really like grid lines. It helps me to figure out where I went wrong when I do mix it up. Okay, now it all matches. So yeah, this is one way I avoid lines. When it goes across or the one diagonal, I'll stitch it as one big section rather than cutting it off in the middle and following the diagonal line. So yeah, I go with the more natural break points in the pattern when I can. I find that helps. Yeah, I don't really want to see the point in artificially stopping in the middle of it just because there's a diagonal line on my pattern. So sometimes I split it into two when there's other sort of colors breaking up the big color because it makes a break point sort of in the middle, but there's not very many colors breaking this one up. As you can see, it's big solid block. That one didn't really disappear, but I know from looking at the pattern that it's going to be covered up with the same color here, so not going to sweat it. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm at 47,000 stitches completed right now. So I'm thinking 55 by the end of the month is probably a reasonable goal. Yeah, I see people in groups, they're like, how do you know what percentage done or how many stitches? Like, what do you count them? It's like, oh no, I would never bother doing that. It's only because the app does all that work for me that I bother to keep track. Okay, so then I switch colors after this to keep from closing stuff in, but also gives my arms a little bit of a break so I don't get sore. Yeah, so did some back to school shopping with kiddo yesterday. He didn't actually need very much, but he did need a graphing calculator, and man, those are still ruddy expensive. Harder to find too. I had to order online because it was out of stock everywhere already. You know, even though school's still a few weeks away, yeah. Guess a lot of people had the same idea. But, yeah, fortunately, he didn't need new shoes yet. His gym stuff all still fits. So, yeah, we didn't need to get a ton, but yeah. When I had to get a graphing calculator when I was in high school, they actually ordered it through the school, which was really nice because you didn't have to go to different stores looking for it, trying to track it down. And they got a discount since they bought a bulk order. So, yeah. Though these days, there's probably an app for it, but I guess they don't want kids on their phones because, yeah, there's more on the phone than just the graphing capabilities. So, yeah. It would be too easy for them to get distracted to using apps and games if they're allowed to use their phone like that. So, there's that, I suppose. Okay, so yeah, figured that was the last stitch right here, so I'll tie this thread off. Yeah, one thing I like with big blocks of color too, there's a lot fewer hanging threads to deal with, so that makes it go really quick as well. Yeah, so my tray is like all blue now. It was all purple and pink for a while when I was on the other edge of the design doing the flowers there. Yeah, so I'm estimating each horizontal pass across this pattern will probably be a couple of months. And there's going to be 9 total. I'm working on the second one, so yeah. So I said around 20 months, so yeah, it's pretty close. It's hard to be completely accurate though because I did a lot of the upper left-hand corner as my secondary project because it was almost all white. And these first 2 passes I made 70 rows, the rest will be 60, so yeah, we'll sort of have to get to the 3rd pass to get a more accurate measure. But then there's also the fact that like the first few passes have a lot more bigger blocks, and then further down the pattern there's a lot more confetti, so yeah. Some months you make a lot more progress than others if there's less detail work to get through. Yeah, so we got the windshield replaced in my son's truck, the one that he drives. So now my husband's going to look into seeing if he can sell it so we can get him a gas instead of a diesel vehicle so he can have something to drive in the winter too. Yeah, around here it just gets too cold for it to start. I remember when I was a kid, we had a propane vehicle. Those are hard to start no matter what the temperature is. Yeah, and I remember when my mom was running low on fuel, we'd have to keep an eye out for a gas station that had a propane tower because, yeah, not everybody has propane. Yeah, but man, that car ran forever. Even when the whole body had rusted out, the engine was still good. So, yeah. Yeah, I remember one time we were parked somewhere and there was sort of a car park that was right behind us, so I tried to step on the bumper to go across, and like there was this shower of rust, and it's like, okay, yeah, I better not do that or this bumper's gonna come off right under my foot. Yeah, my folks would not be thrilled about that. So yeah, I remember that vehicle was, from the 70s. So when my mom got a different one, she was used to driving with no power steering. And yeah, for the first month, she kept making us sick because she turned the wheel too far and then have to recorrect it because, yeah, she was driving it for as if it didn't have power steering. So, yeah, it took a while to get used to that. Okay, 3846. Let's see. Bother putting this in my tray. No, there's not really enough to take up a slot yet. Some smaller pieces to use up here. I was finally able to untape my my vent cover that I taped shut because a bird was trying to make a nest in there, but yeah, he's moved on, thankfully, so. Well, it was taped shut when we moved in, and that's probably why the previous owners had the same issue. But actually, we didn't for years. We've been here, 17 years now, holy cow. Time flies. So I could put a longer piece and park it further down, but I have a lot of little pieces of this color, so I'm going to use some of them up. So put one there. Yeah. And then when I get further down here, I will add a new one. Try to actually catch to that loop. I thought I had, but I hadn't. Yeah, so I was talking, I think maybe last session or the one before, about the Strange New Worlds musical episode, my husband went and bought the music. Yeah, he enjoyed it that much, so. Yeah, I said it was totally silly and unnecessary and ridiculous, and I enjoyed it anyway. I wasn't sure how much I would, but I don't mind musical movies. Like, when I was a kid, I loved The Sound of Music. We watched that incessantly. But yeah, like musical episodes and shows that usually aren't musicals, kind of always a hit or miss for me. So I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, but no, it was good. I did, so. Yeah, like when the adaptation of Les Miserables came out with Hugh Jackman and Russell Crowe, I didn't realize the entire thing was sung, and so it was kind of, yeah, I was expecting it to be more like Sound of Music style, where there's, you know, some regular dialogue before they're singing, so, yeah. Some lighter patches here. This peacock's neck here. I'm going to have a couple threads for this color. Okay, and then back to a couple rows of this one. See if we can get that smooth so it doesn't tangle up on me. Keep catching on my bandage there, that's kind of annoying. Well, hopefully soon it'll be healed up enough. I won't need to wear it anymore, so. Yeah, talking of musicals, I liked My Fair Lady when I was growing up, and said, yeah, we need to update I'm Getting Married in the Morning. He says, you know, if I'm dancing, roll up the floor. If I'm singing, weep me out the door. But I said, for this generation, you need to say, yeet me out the door. Oh my gosh. If I could trim this down somehow so it doesn't keep getting stuck. Should have remembered and wound the bandage around the other way so the end isn't sticking up on this side. I wasn't thinking when I put it on of the way I like to sort of hook the thread with my ring or pinky finger, and so of course it's gonna get stuck there. Well, my ring finger is the one I use for tension when I'm knitting too, so. Yeah, when I used to knit more, I would actually have a groove worn in my finger. No, that is just not cooperating, is it? Darn it. So I'm going to set these aside. Oops, there we go. Yeah, I'm going to, like I said, cut it off there, and I'm not going to touch those threads until I start doing the next diagonal area, so keep them out of my way. Yeah, so I was saying my husband's aunt is coming. She doesn't speak any English, and my Hungarian is not coming along very well. Which I kind of figured. Like I said, I don't have a natural aptitude for languages, but I am trying. Yeah, I said my husband, he's lucky because he started learning English when he was only 5, and it's much easier to do when you're younger. It's kind of interesting, too, because they have formal and informal ways of speaking, so I said it kind of sucks. It's almost like learning 2 new languages instead of just 1. Although he said not to sweat the formal stuff too much because that's really only used in, like, you know, if you have to go to a government office or something, which is unlikely to be an issue for me, so. And they said, yeah, if you get it right, most people aren't offended because they're just thrilled that you're even trying to speak their language, so, yeah. Gosh. The thing that sucks with the bandages when I'm trying to move threads around, it also grabs it then sometimes too, so they don't stay where I want to put them. Well, I said I wanted to use up these shorter pieces, but I ended up creating 2 more. Sometimes that happens. This needle's getting squeaky too. Set it aside and see if I need to get rid of that one as well. Yeah, like I've said before, when they start doing that, it usually means the finish is wearing off and it's time to discard it. Yeah, when I first started stitching, it was from a kit and they only gave you 1 needle, so yeah, had to guard it carefully. But now I buy mine in bulk, so yeah, I got plenty. I remember I would have multiple kits and often they had no needles in them because I would steal a needle from a new kit when the one I was working with had broken. Yeah, and then I found most craft stores, the embroidery needles they sold were DMC, and I have not had good luck with that brand. Their embroidery floss is fine, but the needles were always breaking or rough, or yeah, they just were not good. Yeah, it's funny because the bulk ones I buy are some cheap, no-name ones. They seem to work pretty well for me. I've been quite happy with them. I bought that tube, like 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm still not even halfway through it. So, yeah, and it wasn't that much. It was like not even $10. So, yeah, it's definitely been good value. Yeah, I could hear there was a knot there immediately. See if I can pick it out. Yep, good. Luck was with me today. Now, I say I don't like to split up blocks of color when I can help it, but this next color, this dark navy, this circle one right here, will probably be split up a bit because I have some sort of blending into this color here, so I'll probably be cutting it off at some point. So, yeah, it just sort of all depends on how it works out when I get there, what I decide to do. Or I might decide to go to the top and start filling in that whole section as well. Sometimes that's what I do, so just depends. I think for now I'm going to stick to this from here to the edge of this electric blue here. before I venture over further to the right. Oh, look at that. For Pete's sakes. Oh my gosh. Oh, well, that's kind of a pain. Gotta pull back quite a bit now. I bet some of y'all noticed, hey? What are you doing, lady? Oh, that's irritating. And there's no way to fix that except to pull all the way back. I could cut it out, but then I'd just be left with more ends, fiddly little ends to try to secure, so. How annoying is that? Oh well, at least I caught it before I ended off the thread. I one time did the top leg of the stitch and I went over 2 stitches by accident. And I ended off the thread and I didn't notice till I started the next color next to it. I was like, oh. Yeah, I was not happy with myself. I could have maybe just tried to stitch the 2 top legs over top and fudge it, but yeah. I'm not gonna do that. So let's try that again. There we go. Silly me. Sometimes too, when ripping back this far, the thread can get fuzzy from being pulled through the fabric so many times, so you have to watch for that. Sometimes I'll end up ripping it back, ending off the thread and starting with a fresh one. But this doesn't seem too worn, so I'm gonna just keep going with it. So one time I managed to make like a plus sign on my fabric so the thread went like this over two and then it went over one. I don't know how I managed to do that without noticing until later. Ugh, I must have been stitching really tired or something. Yeah, and I was just like, what the heck was I even trying to do there? Ugh. Something was definitely wonky. That was before I stitched with parking too, so I was stitching one color at a time, and so that color ended up being like that for quite a while before I caught it. I was not very happy. Okay. All the way over to the left for a bit. Yeah, so I parked this here, but I could have actually, when I was stitching it, just stitched all of these and finished it off. So there isn't any particular reason why I didn't. I just chose not to. Yeah, this color is not going to be used for a while. So I could take it out of my tray, but honestly, I won't bother for the moment. Tray's not very full. Okay. Okay, and I don't really have to go this far, but I'm going to do those stitches so that I can do all of these ones in one go and then end off the thread. Okay. Oops. Come on. Piece of fiddly junk. did all that so I could do all these uninterrupted. Yeah, if you've seen me stitch before, especially in high confetti areas, you know I don't mind having a lot of threads hanging down, but hey, when I can do it this efficiently and not have to have an extra one hanging down, then I just do that. Okay, so there we go. Start another one. Oh, something feels, oh yeah, this other thread here that I parked had a knot in it, so let's see if we can undo that before I sew into it. Yeah, with a new thread, which I do not want to do. There we go. Now it's nice and smooth back there, which is what I want. Don't want any lumps. Oh, she says as she ties another knot in her thread. Jeez, I tell ya, not having luck. So it's a little bit of one there, but it's very small. So that I'm going to leave because, yeah, I can barely feel it even running my finger over the back there, so it won't cause any problems. Oh my gosh. Didn't get in the right spot on the fabric there. Don't want it looking sloppy. There we go. Double check again that it's correct. Yeah, this time it is. And this is I'm gonna branch this color off with another thread. Yeah, so one to sort of go down this direction and one to carry on that direction. It might even be a couple, we'll see. So past 200 stitches. Sorry about that interruption, everyone. My phone was in Do Not Disturb, but my husband called me and interrupted the recording. Yeah, because I have it set so that he and my son can call in case there's an emergency. So I guess maybe when I'm filming, I need to start putting my phone on airplane mode. Oh dear. Like I've said more than once, yeah, this is a very professional operation. Oy. But yeah, I think I'm going to be wrapping this up here in the not too distant future. Got quite a lot done today, past 200 stitches. Okay, carry this one, park it here since I have another thread here, further to the right. So I think let's do sort of one more big row of this color and try not to go over 2 squares at once like I did last time. Then that may be where I will call it a day. Gosh, caught on my band-aid again. That's really irritating. Yeah, my husband likes to call me when he's on the road. Just let me know where he is. Give me updates and let me know he made it safely. Yeah, and there's places that have no cell service, so yeah, he likes to update me when he gets to a place that has coverage again. Yeah, so what I could choose to do on this far right side here is to either leave some of these bright blue stitches for the next diagonal or do some of the dark blue stitches coming into this area. So either way, one of the colors sort of gets split up. And I've decided for the moment I'm just gonna cut it off here and so do some dark blue carrying along down this way, and then I'll do more when I get to the top again. But yeah, there's one way isn't necessarily better than the other. I just have to pick one. So that's what I decided to pick this time. But anyway, yeah, 230. It's a nice round number to stop at. Didn't get quite to 15.5%, but pretty close, 15.45. So by next session, I should definitely be past that. But anyway, as usual, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you here again another time. Right, thanks everyone. Bye.